there's this argument that like, yo, does America even realize, or does Donald Trump even realize that it's the American people that will be paying their tariff? Yes, of course, 100% he gets that. But what it does is, if you as a South African are selling an apple to America, that apple is now 30% more expensive. And what that would do is, it will now make American apples more likely to be bought. It's not like no one's going to buy your apples anymore. It's just more difficult to compete in that market with your South African apples. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the On the podcast.
Am I allowed to swear there?
Then swear, man.
Yeah, I know we said let's not blame the government.
It's just sad when we start them becoming indoctrinated view on me.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Contrary podcast with Emilio, Tobias. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. And thank you to everyone that comments. Comment, tell me what you think. People are rude and disrespectful, but at least I know what you are thinking. Then let's talk about it. Let's discuss it in the comments and see what's going on. Guys, interesting episode. Might be a few days late, but on the 1st of August, South Africa will be experiencing a tariff, but Donald Trump would now have imposed a 30% tariff on South Africa in all goods imported into America from South Africa. Tariffs, ne? Tariffs. Then apparently there will possibly be an additional 10%, or I don't know if the 10% has been added yet. There'll be additional 10% on top of the 30% if you either belong to BRICS or you are in the BRICS bloc and you align yourself to some anti-imperialist, anti-American, anti-dollar type of policies or recommendations. So if you align to that type of ideology, America will punish you. And it's in there, right? Like, if you're doing something against us, we will fight you in that manner. Or if we're having trade wars and all those types of things. So, I want to talk about the tariffs and why our feelings allow us to be misguided about this type of things. And I'll start off on the top by saying, yo, man, I'm not a Trump hater at all. I even believe strongly, or let me not even say I believe, I know that if I was American in America, I would have voted for Donald Trump in 2024. Definitely, for sure. I would have voted red in 2024 for Donald Trump, the same way I voted red for the EFF in 2024 for the Red Party in South Africa. Now, I say that so that we all know that I'm not on anyone's side when it comes to this discussion. For me, there's a few issues with how South Africans have reacted to the 30%. Now, as much as I'm a Trump, I'm not a supporter, I can't be a supporter, but I'm a fan of Donald Trump. But as much as I'm a fan of Donald Trump, I'm a bigger fan of South Africa, if that makes sense. So I might have voted for Donald Trump if I was American. But if Donald Trump is doing stuff against South Africa, I'm obviously not a fan of that. But if I had to put myself in America's shoes, I would understand why America would love what he's doing and why he would do the things in the first place. Because America has been giving out charity for many years and they just need to reset that thing. And I think over the next few years, America's charitableness will go up until it breaks and you get another Donald Trump that says, no, let's start from the bottom. Because all these things start somewhere. Now, even in the letter, the things we must point out that people don't point out because it doesn't suit their narrative. The thing we must point out that the 30% tariff is way lower according to the calculations on what deficits are and the amount of trade going either direction. So we've even got a discount on those tariffs. Those tariffs aren't unique to South Africa. Ne? And none of this farmer tax, the G-sides and all these things were cited. And in fact, I'll go out in the limb and said, none of any of that had any influence on how high or how low the tariff could have been. Ne? So they're making like it's a flop on the South African government side. It is not. South Africa just is not special enough to America or big enough to America for things to happen. South Africa may go to the negotiating table to try and lower those tariffs, but then South Africa will also need to concede on some things as far as it comes to trade. As far as it comes to South Africa conceding to their elements or pieces of their sovereignty, I'm totally against that. Totally against that. Don't now change laws just for America, because Donald Trump is only going to be a president for so long. Don't change your laws and your transformation goals based on Elon Musk or based on Donald Trump. No. You must remember, BRICS has come together because, not necessarily as an anti-American collective, but when America, because America is such a superpower, they can run circles around the world and put us in this, when it's time to negotiate, every country is on the back foot. So BRICS is saying that when America starts playing these games as if they're the only ones that can buy stuff, we would have created a group that if America punishes one of us, we will all be able to stand behind that country so the country doesn't go downhill like what happened with Zimbabwe. That at least you're in a group of countries that would buy from you when they need to buy from you, and that would sell you at a reasonable rate if that needs to happen. Just so that America does not have all, and it's not a Donald Trump thing. It's just the nature of America, no matter who's president, whether it's Democrats, whether it's Republican. Now, that's why BRICS is there in the first place. I understand that. There's an element of the tariffs that people are... No one can argue it right because everyone has a side. There's this argument that like, yo, does America even realize, or does Donald Trump even realize that it's the American people that will be paying their tariff? Yes, of course, 100% he gets that. But what it does is, if you as a South African are selling an apple to America, all of a sudden, the South African apples in America, I don't know if it's just fruit and stuff, but goods, let's say we were making TVs here. We don't make anything, we make cars here. We don't even make cars, we assemble cars here. But if you go and sell now a South African apple in America, that apple is now 30% more expensive. And what that would do is, it will now make American apples more likely to be bought. It's not like no one's going to buy your apples anymore. It's just more difficult to compete in that market with your South African apples. That will make apple farmers in America slightly cheaper. Now here's the thing on the counter of that argument, if you care. The thing that American apple farmers will now do, when the South African apples go up by 30%, they won't stay at their low price. In fact, they will try and get as close to the South African apples as possible, and in turn, not even benefiting the American people as much, or the everyday people. However, now on the other flip side again, what it still does do, you are still more likely to buy those more expensive apples from a local farmer or a local supermarket or whatever you call it, keeping American money in circulation. So when we talk about the tariffs don't even work, it's like, my man, you were saying that because you have a sore heart. You are saying that because you are biased. The tariffs may work, may not work. But definitely for sure, you cannot deny that Trump is on America's side. And you cannot blame him for being on America's side. So, tariffs, we get it. It's unfortunate that we're getting hit with a 30% tariff and essentially a GOA and all those preferential trade arrangements are kind of null and void. There seems to be an exception on some goods, and I think it's as far as minerals go. Here's another thing that shows you as South Africans, and I'm gonna talk about different types of South Africans and certain Trump supporters that just don't get it. And me and other Trump supporters aren't Trump supporters for the same reason. So chill, I'll get to that later. We've been complaining for years and years, since I was at school learning in geography, like the problem is South Africa exports raw materials, South Africa exports raw materials and imports finished goods, which is a bad practice. But now you see why it's been difficult for South Africa to get into the beneficiation business or the business of processing raw materials, or at least get them into the secondary phase and not just export rocks. At least export refined stuff. It's because countries like America, China, all these first world countries or countries that are in a better position than South Africa have taken over that space and kind of imposed certain penalties if we chose to refine raw materials here. There's the refining, and then there's the manufacturing part of it. So we've been struggling for years and years and years to get into the refining business and then manufacturing. We can't do it because countries like America keep on imposing penalties and long stories when we want to do that. So America is just out loud now. Donald Trump tweets his decisions. Obama and him did it. Bill Clinton and him did it. George Bush and him did it. It's just those meetings happen behind closed doors. Donald Trump is just doing it in your face now and is doing exactly what we know they've been doing over the past couple of years. So it's always been difficult for African countries to get into the refining business because you get punished for it. So now, when we stay strong, if you've been complaining about South Africa's failed manufacturing industry, failed refining, on the refining beneficiation level, if you've been complaining about that and now be angry that Donald Trump is punishing countries, including South Africa, for wanting to move into the refining space so that we can create more jobs. Bro, what do you want, bruh? Choose which side you're on. Because America now has lost many manufacturing jobs to China, to Mexico, and a little bit in South Africa. It's not a lot. There are some Ford plants here, and Ford is an American company. There are some Ford plants here that have tried to push the manufacturing. It's not even manufacturing that they're pushing. It's assembly. And there's a funny thing that happens with assembly, and probably a reason why they do the assembly thing. I'll talk about that also. Sorry if this video is too long. But now, South Africa is going to need to bite the bullet at some point. Then we need to now trust the government that, if these sanctions are being imposed on us right now, it's going to be rough for the next few years. But let's build our manufacturing capacity. Let's start beneficiating so that the stuff that leave can leave and create jobs, more jobs in South Africa. And what we're selling for a bit more. We're not selling raw materials that has a lot of rock in it. We're selling refined, highly concentrated gold or iron ore, manganese, whatever the case might be. So if you're on the side of why does South Africa export raw materials and import finished goods, we need to take this bullet because America now also doesn't want to lose the manufacturing space, doesn't want to lose the beneficiation space, because a lot of the working class, lower middle working class, the manufacturing jobs have left there. Unwise on their part to let go some of those things is that you increase the poor white population and you increase the poor black population, who would be factory workers, who would be people working in the refining situations where you're melting rocks and extracting the minerals from them. Other thing I wanted to talk about. People are like, the reason why I think these companies are coming to assemble here, never mind the fact that we don't have the capacity to manufacture the engine blocks, to manufacture and fabricate the panels and the pieces. All of those pieces get assembled, but it's easy to build a factory or a plant where you're just going to screw the stuff together and maybe do the upholstery, and then you export now the car from here, which is now the final destination of the car. South Africa may, compared to European countries, compared to China, compared to maybe America, if cars from America to go to other countries, if the car leaves from here, the country where it's going would now charge South African tariffs that they have on a thing. So America might, or European countries, tariffs to America might be too high because they can afford it, unlike an African country. So let's go finish the car off in South Africa. It's going to make it cheaper to get it into America because they're going to charge South African level rates, taxes, excise, all those things, customs and whatever. So that's why you go and assemble the car in South Africa. It makes politicians look good because there's now a few factory jobs here and there, but it's not crazy amounts of employment. Now, that same practice is the reason why, and you make yourself so stupid if you go and laugh at Donald Trump for putting tariffs on an island that's only inhabited by penguins. The reason why you put a tariff on that country also, because countries are smart. Obviously, that penguin island belongs to a country or a territory, whether it's British territory, whether it's owned by India, whether it's owned by England, wara fish base. When you import something into America, you can write on those things that this thing is coming from that island. Now that island on paper, there's no tariffs against the island. So you use that island as a proxy, as if the cars or the goods are coming from there. That's why, for those reasons and for those loopholes, we somehow put a tariff on that penguin island also that people have been using to jump costs. So that's the reason for that one. Last but not least, South Africans. Me, I like Donald Trump. I would have voted for Donald Trump, but I don't put South Africa below Donald Trump. Donald Trump will come second to my loyalty and my love for my own country. The thing that I don't understand is why, even if you're a fan of Donald Trump, why would our white people in South Africa simp so hard for Donald Trump? It's so unlike who we feel our white people are. Our white people are confident people, confident in themselves, whether it's misguided or well-guided confidence, but there's a need for them to be in charge with everything, the need for them to be number one, the need for them to want to tell everyone what to do, supervisor complex. But when it comes to Donald Trump, the way you all are groveling, the way you are damaging your knees on the floor for Donald Trump against your own country, that's the thing that irks everyone. Because everyone in South Africa, we can fight amongst ourselves inside here, but we don't take it outside and make it someone else's problem. But you guys have now done something and betrayed your own country. You don't do that, bro. You don't betray your own country for internal matters and go fight by the neighbor. No, bro. You don't fight with your wife in the house and then you go complain by the neighbor about your wife. No, bro. You'll solve that things in the house. You solve those things in the house. You don't fight with your neighbor Then you go and tell someone from another neighborhood that they must come and sort the neighbor out. You don't do that, bro. Let's fight inside and get places. Let's get somewhere. But how are you simping so hard for Donald Trump? And like, it even makes you happy when Donald Trump does something that affects South Africa negatively. I understand why Donald Trump is doing it for America, but I don't understand why that makes you happy that your black South African president is losing a certain aspect of negotiations or of deals. That's the thing I don't understand, bruh. I've never seen white people with such a big inferiority complex as when they're dealing with Donald Trump on America. And I thought it was only us. Because us, in the entertainment space, we look up to America. Whatever America does, we are there. We are simping for them. We think we're inferior. We don't even realize our art and our popular culture is way bigger, way more vibrant, way more creative than America. Black Twitter is a thing to go by as evidence of how dope South Africa is. South Africans are one of the highest users of social media in the world, per capita speaking. But somehow, we do have an inferiority complex, assuming that everything in America is better as it relates to art. Now, our white people here are behaving in such a simp manner to America and to Donald Trump. Yo, guys, we need you all to believe in yourself. We need you all to believe in yourself. Do you know the time when Donald Trump called countries in Africa shitholes? The whites were not saying South Africa or Africa is not a shithole. In fact, a lot of black people will agree. There's a lot of shitholes in Africa. Those issues caused by Europe and America, number one. A lot of the mess here and the fact that there's shithole countries here, yes, there are. There's a lot of countries that a lot of people would not want to live in Africa. But now, the white people were offended that they were seen as part of the group. They were defending not South Africa or African countries. They were defending the street where they live in. And say, yes, it's a shithole, but here where I live, they don't want to be associated with Africans when it comes to how Donald Trump categorized the place. My man, you are with us, bruh. And that's what we're trying to tell you. You are with us. Let's fight internally. People outside mustn't know what the fights are about in the house. That for me is just very out of character. Shows very poor self-esteem. No, man. You can be a Donald Trump fan, but still put your own country first. That's just my message. This is love. This is from love for our white people. We need you to get your confidence back, especially as the rest of America. We are the best in the world in many things. America doesn't participate in world things. America has World Series and World Cups that involves only America. America doesn't do well in any world sport. So let's take back our confidence, our supervisor mentality, and let's show America we are better. We need you. We need you to go and fight for us. We need to send you forward. But we can't send you forward and then you are groveling in a manner that we've never seen you before. So please. So as far as the tariffs, 30% tariffs go, it's bad news for South Africa. But they have nothing to do with the cheese side and the farmer tax. It's just a blanket thing that Trump has put across many countries. And that's fine. If that's what he's doing, it's fine. Let's use this time in South Africa to build up our capacity in beneficiation and our manufacturing capacity. That's it. That's all. So please, we can fight internally, but when we come out there, we put on a unified face, even though we hate each other internally. But externally, people must never be able to tell there's something wrong there. That's all we're saying. And then you want us to accept what FF plus. You don't send, governments don't send messages to each other like that, bruh. There's official communication. And if Cyril and them haven't told us what the conditions are, it's with good reason. We can't take messages from Groenewald. It's not Groenewald, ne? It's the other one. We can't take messages from him. He was not sent there. There was not a South African delegation. That was a delegation that went in their own personal capacities. We can't take messages through what's in them channels. Donald Trump knows the address. He sent a letter. We know when it comes from him, he sends straight to Cyril. Don't send through other people. If you want anything, send it through Ronald Lamola. We don't work like that, bro. We must just take the word from guys. Let's not sacrifice our sovereignty. White people, we need you to step up. We need your superiority complex to come in and show that you are better than Americans. South Africa is a better country than America. We have better people than America. As much as we all want to go there, we all want to see the lights there, we all want to have fun there. Not above your own country, guys. Please. This was all love. I'm not fighting. Drop me a comment. Tell me where I got it wrong. Like, subscribe, definitely share. But we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. And remember also, when America does well, we tend to do better as well. Anyway, that's my time. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the On the Country podcast.
Am I allowed to swear there?
In Sweden.
Yeah, I know we said let's not blame the government.
It's just sad when we start them becoming indoctrinated.
Your view on me.